So we are back here with another video, man. Today we are going to be reacting to Carlo's video regarding pacing. This has been a very just prevalent topic in the community over the last few days. Everybody has made a video on their take about pacing. Everybody's been talking about it on X and everything. And with that being said, you know, we need to give our takes on it as well. And a lot of the things that Carlo says, I really do agree with. So we are going to be reacting to this video. Some of them I do disagree with. And we're going to look at some of these comments, and I am just going to be giving kind of my takes on the whole pacing situation, because it's a thing that is really dividing the community right now. And as I've said earlier in the year, like, there's reasons why it's a good thing that we have this many go-karts. Like, right now, I would argue it's good because there's just so many, like, cool GOAT and invincible cars that are well under 100K right now. And there's reasons it's good. There's reasons it's bad. People have very differing opinions about this. Is it 2K's fault? Is it creators' fault? Is it the community's fault? I think you could argue like any way with any of this. And that's why it makes it so interesting. So without further ado, man, let's look at some of these comments really quick. I think there's 4 here that we're going to read and just see what they have to say. It's all about the animations. Everyone is basically a clone. That's on the developers. They need to diversify more OP animations. See, and even just this comment in and of itself, I do agree with the last part. They need to diversify more OP animations. There used to be way more back in like 2K20 and 21. Not only were there way less 99 everything cards, there were way more animations, such as like released, you know, dribble moves, any kind of animation that you could think of, that there was just way more of them, man. So with that being said, you know, it just... Is that the problem? More so than there being just a bunch of endgame cards? Like, what is really the problem? You know? I guess you could point at both things if you wanted to, but it's just very interesting thinking about that. And then everyone being basically a clone, I think a lot of that is actually on the community too. And let me explain why. Think about when Larry Bird came out. Larry Bird was objectively by far the best card in the game. And the next week, Kevin Durant comes out. He doesn't have the best upper in the world. And everybody freaked out because he's not as good as Larry. So a lot of that happens too. And that is something that I commented on one of Carlo's posts, was that if we get a really good pack drop and then the next week, even if it's just like slightly worse, like not even like way worse, even if it's just slightly worse, people have a huge issue with it. And if we think back to older Myteams, you know, some cards were the best cards in the game for months. Like, think about, like, Pink Diamond D-Rob. Like, he was the best card in the game for months. The packs that came after Pink Diamond D-Rob, nobody cared that there wasn't a card as good as Pink Diamond D-Rob. Like, nobody ranted about it, you know? So then with something like that, you could look at it as, you know, it's the community's attitude as well. So it's very interesting. They need to bring back themed packs. What do you mean by this? Like, do you mean, like... packs where it's like, you know, they're like playoff themed, or packs where the cards are just good at certain things, or, you know, I feel like you need to go more like, because I do agree. The promos are definitely kind of lacking in this game right now. I think that there's no question about it. I think that the promos are kind of troll that we're seeing, and there's good ones, but they used to be a lot better. So I completely agree with that, man. This one, August, fair points. F that, why am I spending on piece of crap cards? We'll pre-order, play GTA, then play again, end of season 7. Buy sellable GOAT Invincibles, rack up the MT, then buy all the cards in the final season. And this is something we've talked about as well. Why spend money at any point in the year? Because the cards are always going to be outdated. Like, even spending money now, there's a lot of people that argue like, oh, this is, you know, the time to spend money because all the best cards are available and they're the easiest to get there. It's still the same thing, though. Like, you use them for a month, and then, which is worth it for some people, and I understand that, and that is a W, but it's never worth it. Because it's not like spending money in other games where you have things forever once you spend that money. Like, they're gone after a month. Either the cards are outdated or the next game is out, you know? So, yeah, it's very interesting. There's no doubt about it. Let's continue on to the video. I want to see what Carlo has to say, man, because I think some of his points on this topic are extremely interesting.
It's your boy Warlow back with another Myteam video. And we're going to be discussing the pacing problem of 2K26 Myteam. But I'm going to be doing it differently. I'm going to be breaking down why low-key, like 2K, obviously they've been dropping things. But I think this community is just as bad as 2K to why...
In some ways, yes. And that's what bothers me about like Ty and JC. There's always zero accountability. Like even DBG not so much, but at least a little bit. And then other creators like Carlo, there's accountability, you know? Like some of this is the community's fault. Whereas with Ty, it's blame everything on 2K. Nothing is my fault. Nothing is, you know, comes off as like a victim mentality. Like I'm not a fan of that attitude. I feel like Ty and JC and some other creators really exhibit that attitude where it's just, you guys know what I'm saying. It definitely bothers me. Some more accountability is definitely necessary there with people like that.
Pacing, and they kind of contradict themselves going together. So I'm going to be breaking it down in this video why pacing will probably never be good again. And it's obvious that this is ruining my team. Because basically, I'm a person that has played since 2K15 Myteam, and I didn't even take it off screen. 2K15. I have played since the old days. I remember back at 2K17 when Pink Diamond MJ was like the only 99 for the lock-in set. Back in the day, like if I were to click it right here and look up Team USA.
I did not play back then. So they're going to show this graphic of DBG where it was like, okay, 2K19 had like 399 everything cards. There was like 1 in 2K18. There was 0 in 2K15, 2K17. What I don't understand, and this is something that I actually kind of agree with Ty on, is why are we going backwards with this? The pacing used to be perfect. The pacing of 2K21 with 60, 99 everything cards by the end of it, to me, the whole year, the pacing in 2K21 felt perfect. It did. And then in 2K22, we went up to 114, 99 everything cards. 2K23 was actually the only year where we went down to like 108. But like, I don't know why. 2K21, man, best Myteam of all time, in my opinion. Best paced Myteam as well. It felt like the first Dark Matters and Zion and MJ came out in Season 5. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. By the end of it, 60, 99, everything, I think that's a very good amount. I think like 50 is about perfect. I think like 20 or below is too low. And I think 100 or more is way too many. But about 50, like say that you have 1 in every Tuesday drop and 2 in every Friday drop for a whole month. That would be 3 a week. That's 12 a month. So then you have 36 over the course of 3 months. Maybe throw in like an extra one every one of those Fridays. Then you're looking at close to 50. Like that's perfect, man. And I don't know why, because 2K20, I believe 2K20 was their most profitable game because of COVID. 2K21 though, like, and they say like the numbers are different. The numbers always say that like 2K's profits are going up and everything, but I just believe that 2K20 was their most successful Myteam. Like numbers aside, as far as with the amount of people that were playing, the amount of like people that were ripping packs. Now there's way more people that spend way more on packs. And unfortunately, that's what they're focused on. But in terms of like the amount of people that probably spent money, I would have to believe that it was the highest in 2K20 and in 2K21. 2K20 specifically. And then 21, it was almost like they were going off of, and even DBG used to mention this back in the day, it was like they were trying to chase the COVID numbers. And that was never going to happen. That was never a realistic expectation. And some of that ruined my team as well. Like, I will not lie to you. It absolutely did. Because I think 2K22, I don't know why specific creators and certain people glaze the heck out of 2K22. I was not a fan of 2K22. 2K22 was my least favorite Myteam from 2K20 to 2K23. And by a long shot as well. I don't know if I would go as far as to say as I'd take 25 and 26 over 22, but it's close. It is absolutely close. It's very interesting.
Michael Jordan Pink Diamond. I'll show it to y'all. There's a show that I literally have been playing this game for a long time. I'm Unk. Yeah, right here. You see it? 2K17. That's how I'm Unk. I'm Unk. I know I'm old. But we're going to basically be discussing, as you can see, the 99 overalls has went up year by year. Went up from 2, I remember 3, 19, 60, skipped 2K24. I don't know what happened, but 2K24, I think there was multiple. There was a lot of 99s, but 257 to 2K25 and 499. I mean, as you can see, it keeps going up like crazy. Because back then, like, they had it where, like, you couldn't even get 9. I think there was 99. Maybe not 99 every stat, but there 100% was 99s at 2K17. Like, 2K16, they were reward cards. They weren't 99 every stat. But my thing is like the community, like, people don't blame 2K for this, but the community is just as bad with this. Like, we seem to hate that GOAT Carmelo Anthony got early in the year just for not having perfect 6. We've seen that.
Carmelo Anthony is such an interesting card because we've never seen an ultimate rep reward. And people that don't have him are complaining because he's way too hard to get. And people that do have him are complaining because he sucks. So I just don't know, man. I don't know about Carmelo Anthony. Like, I feel like if you got him back in November or like December when the first people were getting him, I feel like if you got him back then, like, you got some good use out of him. So expecting him to be good for the entire rest of the year, like, that's unrealistic, in my opinion. It absolutely is. And people complaining about not being able to get him, the rep being too hard, like, it is annoying that you have to go in and do, like, the base pack method or really go on your dynamic goals. And if I did all of those things, if I did the base pack method all year, which I didn't, I never did it once. And I kind of regret it, but it was kind of too far gone until the time where, like, I decided that maybe I should do this, so I just never did it. I never took my time to do that. But if you do the base pack method, if you do dynamic goals, if you really, really focus on rep, you could get there. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, who wants to focus on rep all year? Like, I feel like it's not worth it. It's better to focus on other rewards, especially now. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I think rep was a W this year. I've said that multiple times. I think it was very cool how they implemented Melo, how they're giving away the game for free to the top 10, how there's a lot of MT available. There's interesting rewards available, like interesting cosmetic rewards. We need more cosmetic stuff in Myteam. I talked about that in a prior video as well. Instead of, just like 75 balls or however many there is, let's have like 1,000 different basketballs. Like, why not? There's no reason not to. Jerseys, like, can we have like some, like, why does every jersey have to be team based? Why can't we have like just some interesting ones? Like, you can create your own jerseys. Like, I get that, but I love the cosmetic stuff in Myteam, and I think Rep offered a lot of unique cosmetic things. So that's very cool as well. I don't know. I think Rep's overly complained about. That's just my personal opinion. I think that people that got Dark Matter rep complain about rep, and I think that people that weren't able to get it complain about it. Like, let's just, it is what it is kind of situation. You know what I'm saying?
When these guys do card reviews, like Ty Depot, like JC, they literally will get mad if and say this card stinks if he's not perfect. If he doesn't have.
Yeah, it's completely troll. Like, just Ty and JC, man, like, the lack of accountability is wild. Nothing is ever their fault. When in reality, as we know, a lot of things could be pointed back towards them, or at least they should share, part of the blame. But they're never going to take any accountability. And this whole thing with JC asking people to give him a God squad to use all year, like, what are we doing? This is why I say that these creators are just so out of touch with reality, and so they feel like they have this privilege over the community. It's troll. It is 1000% troll, and they are partially to blame for these issues. I 1000% agree. The perfect example that I already brought up was KD one week, or Larry Bird one week to KD the next week. That was just, I was looking at KD and I was like, okay, this card's good. And other people were saying, okay, this card's good, but his upper's not as good as Larry's, so the drop is troll. Like, come on, dude. Like, he's still, like, the second best shooting guard in the game. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to be outdoing ourselves. That used to be looked at as a bad thing back in, like, 2K20 and 2K21. When every drop started getting better than the last drop, that was when everyone started saying, okay, 2K's starting to cook pacing. Pacing is cooked for the year. Like, that was something that was looked at as, like, bad, but now it's looked at as, like, what we should have, which is troll. It is 1000% troll, man.
The typical SIG that you want, they get mad and frustrated with it. Like, I literally got in a whole out argument with Splash earlier in the year about that, because Goat Mello was just like, I said Goat Mello was a good card. He got mad at me because I said Goat Mello was a good card. I said I liked Mello a lot. For him being a point guard, he still was decent. He was calling him trash. And Ty does the same thing. So I don't even know what he's even, like, he does the same exact thing. Go in a card review thing and hear what they have to say about certain cards just because they don't have a animation or don't have the right SIGs or don't have a stat. They will literally say at the same time this card stinks, not worth buying, but and boring. Then at the same time, if the content's not up to par, then it's a problem. Like, do y'all not remember? Shoot, we'll go back even farther. You not remember the trophy case? Back in the day, like, what happened there? People literally, we got good reward cards, but then people complained the packs weren't that good.
That was the start of it. And I hate to say this, DBG started this whole complain about everything trend. He absolutely did. DBG, all of a sudden in 2K23, because his baby 2K22 was gone, turned into the most negative creator. And then it was actually hilarious. Ty and people like him were against him at first. They were like saying, this is actually good. Like, this is way better than you're making it out to be. And then all of a sudden they turned to his side for whatever reason. It was so troll. DBG that year, you could honestly make the claim if you wanted to. I don't know if I would agree with it entirely, but you could make this claim. And I would say that it has some merit to it. Some of DBG's complaints in 2K23 directly contributed to the downfall of Myteam, as well as 2K24. Because he heavily complained about the trophy case, which besides greatness, I'm going to say that's the best free grind ever, besides greatness. And we had a couple extremely good Spotlight Sims. There was a Galactic Spotlight Sim which was in like January or February. And that Spotlight Sim was one of the best Spotlight Sims ever. Like, it absolutely was. We desperately needed a grind. They dropped it. It was sick. He complained about it. For whatever reason, he absolutely ranted about it, said, we're not in the pandemic anymore. This shit takes too long. And then we didn't really see anything good after that. And then the whole MT ban thing happened. And honestly, I think that might be what happened. DBG was against Myteam in 2K the whole year, completely negative for the first half of 2K23. And then when Ty and all these, people who think that they, again, like, have this privilege that other people don't, once they got banned for buying MT, then they turned against 2K as well. And then everybody was just completely negative about everything. So 2K23 was really, truly a good game as a whole, but it was the start of the downfall. There's no question about it. And that is kind of just a summary of what happened that year. some very good pieces of content that were complained about and never really seen again, you know.
And the content wasn't that great, even though they had the pacing under control. The pacing was going slower. It was better than it ever was. And people still complained about it. No matter what, the content creators still complain about it. And the same content creators, and someone can make a devil advocate on this. Like, let's say you got Pink Diamond SGA, right? Pink Diamond SGA. You was able to run them for 5 months. These same content creators promote not opening packs, not literally being against packs, right? So you realize if pacing is actually under control, right? Pace, like, let's say realistically, let's say SGA did not come out, and let's say they nerfed Dr. J, right? That means you got to keep upgrading your team. Like that, which is going to make Myteam inner line more expensive. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying that's going to make Myteam.
Pacing was so much better at the beginning of the year. It absolutely was. I think that, first of all, I think that Galaxy Opals came out way too early. I know that they came out at the same time as they did last year, but it was way too early, man. Galaxy Opals should not be coming out at the beginning of, or at the end of Season 2. Galaxy Opals should be the highest tier at Christmas. And I'm talking about this year specifically. Instead of Dark Matter, LeBron and Dark Matter, Caitlin Clark, it should have been Opal, LeBron, and Caitlin Clark. Those should have been the first Opals. And then we should have, ramped up to Dark Matter sometime maybe like right around All-Star break. And then we have 100 overalls for a while after that. The first Invincibles and GOATs should be like the summer. They 1000% should, man. So, and all of that is 2K's fault. They see the numbers starting to go down on the pack openings. They drop a very mid drop, like the bounce drop or the crossroads drop. And then they're like, okay, we need to go up to the next tier. And it's just, that is 100% 2K's fault. There's no doubt about it, man.
More expensive in general. It just is. It's going to be more expensive because you got to upgrade. If cards are slowly getting better, you're going to have to keep upgrading to keep up with the game because obviously the cards, if the cards like Dr. J and SGA, they can run, even the Embiid from earlier in the year can run multiple times a year. And I'm not saying this is good for the health of the game. I'm not saying like, oh, these cards are great for the health of the game and it's a good thing completely. But someone can make an argument is I could spend money for these cards and they could run for me for months. They could run for me for multiple months without me having to spend $1 on this game, which y'all promote. In my opinion, you cannot. I don't think you can promote pacing, but then you want at the same time you want people to spend less, or you don't want them to open packs. That doesn't make much.
And it's just troll. Like I completely get what Carlos saying because SGA was complained about by Ty, JC, all these guys. The wild gems as a whole were complained about. Everything gets complained about. So, it's like everything, there's some stuff that's better than other stuff. It's not like just like everything can just be the worst ever. It doesn't make any sense, man. Like, I feel like you got to say, like, okay, this was better than this. Let's go more like in this direction. But it's never any of that from them. It's always like, everything's horrible. Get this out of here. What is that going to do? The answer is nothing. You know what I mean?
Sense to me. I'm sorry. That doesn't make that. I think that contradicts each other because you're gonna have to spend more money in a Myteam that is paced better. It just is what it is. If you want the best of the best and you want to keep up with the best stuff, you're gonna have to do that because someone could be like, I know some of y'all love the fact that some of the cards came out earlier this year. I remember
JC's not going to be spending any money. Someone's going to let him use his team. And I didn't make a separate video about the JC2K situation. I thought about it, but, we're here talking about it now. It's just so troll to me that he deleted the tweet when he saw the feedback. Now, I can understand if you're looking at that and thinking like, okay, he saw that people hated it. He took it down. Why are there so few people on this community that are so afraid to stand on what they want to stand on and stand on what they believe in? If he initially made that post, It's a serious post. Like, it's a serious request. And it is a request. It's not like, you know, I don't even really think that he was necessarily expecting a bunch of people to come out and say, yeah. You know, I think it was just, well, we'll just see, right? Deleting the tweet is soft, in my opinion. Like, stand on what you believe in. Stand on what you want to ask. Don't back out because it gets criticism. That's just my thoughts. I think a lot of people in this community are very afraid to go against the grain and just do what they believe in. That's what it comes down to, man.
Someone in the comment section say, I don't want to use FineMaker or Taco Fall in July. I'm happy about the fact I was able to use certain players in April, in March, in February. And I'm not saying particularly that's a good thing for me.
Why do Taco Fall and Thawne, why do those cards need to be invincibles, though? You know, in Season 6. Like, I understand wanting to use those names earlier. Why can't we get, like, a Sapphire Taco Fall at the very beginning of the year? A Sapphire Wild Gem. Why can't we get, you know, in one of these Void drops? Well, they went to just Dark Matters as lowest tier way too early. I actually thought that was going to work. DBG was right. That did not work. It was troll. Maybe at the beginning of Season 6 or sometime in Season 5, we get a Pink Diamond Thawne Maker. That's not like all juiced up, but he's still a cheese ball because he's Thawne Maker, right? Why do these cards need to be invincibles? That's my whole thing. You know what I mean? Because then when they're invincibles and they're impossible to get, of course, you know, Ty and all those guys are going to get them because you need them for King of the Court. Because if somebody else has them, then you're at a huge disadvantage. And even last year, there was like a Pink Diamond Taco, and there was these lower tier, and there was a few this year. But yeah, there's no reason that those cards needed to be invincibles and like ultimate lock-ins. You know what I mean? Like, they could have even made like 100 overall or invincible Hito. Even if it was just 100 overall Hito, make him the lock-in for that Void set instead of, I believe Taco was the second one, right? For the Void Warped or whatever the one was with like the tentacles on the cards. Make Hito the lock-in for that. And you don't even have to make him invincible. Make him 100 overall. People are still going to lock that in for Hito. You know, maybe they wouldn't make as much money off that, but I get it. I do. But it's just troll. It's better when guys like that, like, those guys need to be the kind of cards that we're getting in the last couple weeks of the game. Like their GOAT and Invincible versions. Whichever version that's going to be the juiced out one. And then their lower tier cards can, and you can even make them rarer in packs 2K. That's what they did for a little bit in 2K23. Like Jonathan Bender, some of these other Pink Diamonds. They were significant. That was the first time that we really saw, I feel like, extremely weighted odds. Like truly weighted odds. Because they would drop a card like Jonathan Bender, Taco, whoever in the lowest tier, but he would be so much more rare than the other Pink Diamonds. So then he would still have value, and people would rip for him. You know? And that was a lot better for the game. It absolutely was, than what we had this year with those type of names.
Myteam that these cards come out earlier in the year because you can make an argument Dr. J is way too good for his time. But then you also can make an argument at the same time that literally that these cards at the same time will increase the cost of Myteam if you were to add pacing back. Because I remember playing the old 2Ks. It got expensive real quick. Like,
see, and that's why I don't have a problem with SGA, Dr. J. Because yes, they were elite and you could use them for months. But it felt similar like Pink Diamond D-Rob in 2K22 where they come out, the next drop, there's no card that's even nearly as good as that card. Then it's fine, right? But then we get into the whole, we need to outweigh ourselves every week, like around the Season 6 time. Like that whole mindset needs to go. It does. That mindset is hurting pacing.
you would buy one card 1 week, then this card's getting way better Next card's getting way, way, way better. That game never existed. I fully agree with DBG. 2K24 was horrible. 2K16 was just as bad. Okay, people forget 2K16. If you played during that year, the market was controlled by Agolda, which is a marketing site, and every cards were millions of MT because they boosted every single card up in price tag. And they basically controlled the market up till April. And the pack odds were probably the worst pack odds we ever had in 2K history. I'm not even trolling. Probably the worst odds, if you even want to call them odds. They more were unpullable. I still remember cash opened like 1 million plus for Amethyst and Mellow, and the card never existed on the auction, except for one for like over 48 hours. It got so dumb. Like 2K16 with no locker codes. Like, bruh, say we want about, like I said, 2K24 and 2K16 are the worst 2K Myteams by a landslide, and it's not particularly freaking close. Okay, like there's been, like, people love to say other things about Myteam. No, those two Myteams are easily the worst Myteams of all time. You're not even touching each other. They're both so bad. So of them are terrible. But back to the main point of the matter is, because someone has to be the one to say it, stuff like this 6140. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I do have an argument to think. I don't think Dr. J coming out this early is a good thing. But at the same time, I cannot in my heart then say, I want you to spend less money. Or I want you to say it because it doesn't make any sense. If you want pacing, then you're really going to want people to spend more. It's going to increase the cost of the game. It just is what it is on that. And we got in so many 99s early on, obviously, because we go back even to 2K24 as an example, use that as an example. Like back in March, it was crazier. The pacing was actually better. I remember 2K18 back then, and I feel like we need to change as a community because back then we didn't need Shaquille O'Neal with the 99 pointer. Y'all remember the days when people loved 2K19, Shaq back in the day? Like, my team. Yeah, that's man, TD present. Shout out to him. But this Shaq was so good as a reward card. He was one of the best cards in the game with even his standard release could play. And I feel like maybe position locks is fault for that because I remember running that Shaq at point guard and that Shaq was crazy in game. Absolutely really crazy in game. He was so good. So good. I really love that Shaquille O'Neal. But I think 2K has even forgotten about that in general, about cards being realistic almost. Cause still, they don't have to change these cards as OD as possible, as they do, even if they drop them early in the year. But I feel like the another problem you have to talk about is pro play. But I feel like that's another problem you have to talk about.
Oh, the gameplay, man, is so cooked. The gameplay, man, I'm not even going to get into it, man, because I've already talked about it in prior videos. The shooting is beyond cooked. Go back to 2K21 shooting. The movement is so cooked. Go back to 2K20 or so movement. You know what I mean? Like this pro play, and it's the same with Madden as well. They're having the same problem. Why does the gameplay from 5 to 10 years ago feel so much more smooth than the current day gameplay? You know, last year it felt extremely clunky, and this year it feels like it's less clunky than last year, but it feels like just still not slidey at all. It still feels like your movements are restricted. It is absolutely troll. They need to get rid of pro play. Just go back to how it used to be. Because it's the same thing with Madden. And I think you could honestly argue that it's even worse with Madden, which is actually crazy. Because the way that players move in Madden does not, first of all, it doesn't look realistic at all. It used to be realistic. And second of all, it is like the most unsmooth thing ever. Like, how is the gameplay on freaking Madden 12 for PS2 less clunky and more smooth than Madden 27? Like, you should look at that as a company and say, we need to admit that we are wrong here and revert back to how it used to be. You know what I mean? And 2K needs to do the same thing.
Because the NBA has changed since then. Like in 2K19, right? There wasn't as many 3-point shooter bigs in the league. Like example, how are you going to keep a card like Shaquille O'Neal normal, but then you're going to have Victor Wembanyama in game? Like in game.
You could actually argue that 2K has some of the same problems that some of these creators do. Like, there's no accountability. And that hurts the mode, man. It 1000% does.
That is so good. Like, I know y'all use Pink Diamond Shaq, right? Pink Diamond Wemby in season 2, and you use Shaquille O'Neal. How do you balance that in game? Like, that is a problem that you have to really think about when we say we want to pace 2K. Because you can pace a thing, and it doesn't really solve the issue. People are just going to use Pink Diamond Wemby until you make them better, and that's not going to make 2K money for starters. And that's literally not going to make like anyone want to upgrade their team. And those same people are just going to use Victor Wembanyama on their lineup or whenever they get them and just run them for like months like they did SGA. So you know what I mean? And the other problem is pro play. You can be like, oh, these players should keep their jump shots. But pro play has literally overall ruined the freaking jump shots of many players, including Michael Jordan, including Larry Bird. If y'all remember Larry Bird back then, Larry Bird in old 2Ks, like NBA 2K17 gameplays, like he used to have a phenomenal release when they actually fixed it. I remember they updated his release and Larry Bird was so good in my team. Like, I can't even find them, but it was 2K. Yeah, they updated Larry Bird's jump shot, and Larry Bird jumper ended up being really good in play now. And that's another problem. Trey looks younger in 2016, but like as an example, but that is another problem you have to add in is like, how do you fix that? I feel like it's multiple layers than just, oh, it's more 99s than ever before. Okay, I don't feel like that's the complete problem of what we're.
Yeah, this is I completely agree with this. This is a very in-depth issue that extends way beyond just too many 99s. This is maybe the most in-depth issue because it stems back to everything that's a problem. Like now we're here talking about gameplay. You know, this needs to be talked about. There's no question.
Even talking about here, it's a problem with the overall game and stuff like that matter. Because how could you justify Michael Jordan having the slowest release possible in game? Because back then, before Michael.
It's because he was free, man. The GOAT Michael Jordan got nerfed because he was free. Which is troll. Because level 40 is not like this walk in the park that everyone makes it out to be. Yeah, a lot of people pay to level 40. You would need to put in a lot of hours to get to level 40 naturally. Without the pro pass or anything. To get him absolutely free. So with that kind of a grind, like, you should get rewarded. Now, I think Ben Wallace was actually better than Michael Jordan. So that was interesting. But yeah, we went from Shaq to MJ, and MJ ended up being pretty bad. Shaq was amazing. Paulo was really good. Paulo, one of the most underrated level 40s of all time, I feel like. So yeah, interesting. I mean, I feel like level 40s, they are better than they were last year. And probably, honestly, better than they've been since like maybe 22. So I will give him that.
Jordan had a really good jumper. Back then before, Tracy McGrady, as an example, had a good jumper. Back before, Kevin Durant's jumper wasn't a complete troll. What it is now, his jumper's not bad, but compared to what it was back then, was so much better back then. He used to have a way better jumper and a way easier jumper to actually time, and it was way better, so you didn't really have to actually adjust it early on. And I think that's another problem with the 99 stat thing, and it falls into that, is 2K feels like they need to update it because the jumpers are not good whatsoever, because pro play has destroyed so many jump shots that literally it's like it's not justifiable to keep these players with the jumper they have early in the year, or the 99 stat thing. It's just people keep expecting better every single week. Like, we can't even go back to playing with Sapphires.
Yes. Carlo just absolutely nailed it. And that is a huge problem. Nobody seemed to expect that at the beginning of the year, and nobody ever expected that in the past. But now that's what people expect, towards the end of this year, towards the end of last year. If we get a drop that's worse the next week, it is like the sky is falling and 2K is failing and nobody should even engage with this content. The overreaction is always absolutely absurd. It is. And there shouldn't even be any reaction to that. because pacing will be cooked very quickly if they start outdoing themselves on every drop. So I don't get it, man. I don't. And another thing too is like there's a lot of jump shots right now that are cooked on current gen as well, like on mobile or PS4. They just need to go back to how the jump shots used to be, man. They need to go back to how the jump shots can we just get like 2K21 and 2K20 gameplay back? Because legitimately every aspect of the gameplay, besides maybe like there were some glitches and stuff. There was like that behind the back glitch that you could do, like some of that stuff would be troll, but legitimately like 99% of the aspects of gameplay were better back then. And everybody would be happy if it got reverted. So why don't they do it? I think it's too much pride. I think that they can't admit that they're wrong, just like some of the biggest creators. I truly believe that that's what it is.
Go back on the old 2K videos. People used to make videos about sapphires, ruby cards, and those videos would get a lot of views. Now today, people get angry, don't care at all about sapphires, rubies, don't even want to boot on the game. I feel like we need to change how we view Myteam as a community and make.
And that is the sad part. They tried to actually make them relevant at the beginning of the year. There was so many good sapphires and rubies. But every content creator just ignored the wild gems for whatever reason. People called the wild gems exchange pieces. You shouldn't even look at any of these cards. I got told that I was such an idiot saying like some of the pink diamonds were actually really good and everyone's just ignoring it. Because people were making pink diamond tier lists at the beginning of the year. And some of the pink diamond wild gems were garbage. Okay, I get it. Some of them were very good. Like I used a good amount of them. People weren't even including them on tier lists because they were just like, oh, these are just exchange pieces, whatever. And it was the same thing with like, there was some ruby, amethyst, and sapphire wild gems that were legitimately usable as budget cards. And they were never included on tier lists. Maybe like one or two of them because one person said they were good and then everybody ran with it. Like, for example, cards like Willis Reed, Nene. But nobody took the time to really use the cards. So then I said, okay, I'm going to do it. If nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I went and used a bunch of the wild gems. I made a budget card tier list at the very beginning of the year. And I knew that it wasn't really going to do that well. But I wanted to, have that out there in case anyone was really wondering about all of the wild gems. So, yeah, I don't understand. The attitude of some of these things at the beginning of the year was so beyond troll. And that's why I had to start off going into like this year, going into like defensive mode and saying like this community's so freaking negative because the wild gems, dude, were so sick. And it feels like the more time that goes by, the more times that like something gets mentioned that's relevant to the wild gems, the more upset I get because it's just like this was so good. And it was completely ignored and just shat on by the community. Wild gems, you will always have my heart, man. I'll always be in your corner. Don't trip. It did get worse, like when the opals came around, but at the very beginning, it was so peak. It was so peak, and everybody hated it, man. It pissed me off so bad.
Get back to how it was before. If we can even do that. I don't think we can. I'm just being honest. I think the pacing is beyond cook. I don't think we're ever going to get back to that again. And I don't have an issue if someone doesn't want to go back to that. Because telling someone to go back to that and then them having to feel need to upgrade every single week is not really a fully 100% logical plan. And obviously I know it's saying 99 stat as a thing, but this is mainly about the pacing of my team. And I think that's mainly the point of this video. But yeah, y'all can hear my thoughts. Like I just see the hate Melo got early on. I just don't think the pacing will ever be good again. It just is what it is. But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. See y'all the next one and give me a game.
So, well, that's my thoughts on pacing. I feel like we went really in depth there, and maybe some of you guys agree because that's how it always is, right? And that's why I get on some people in this community never being able to admit that they're wrong, because everybody's always going to, have different opinions. Everybody's going to think about these things differently. And that's the same with, like, I agreed with most of what Carlos said. There were some things I disagreed with, but I agreed with the majority of it. I feel like that's usually how it is with Carlo. And then, maybe some other creators disagree and agree with some of it. Some other creators disagree and agree with some of it. That's how it always is. So I know that, some people are going to disagree with some of my thoughts on these things. Some of you guys might agree with some of it. Yeah, but that's my thoughts on pacing in a nutshell. And it was such a long video because it is such an in-depth topic like we talked about. But I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you are new here, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below before you head on out of here, man. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next vid.